credibility to it. But it was sounding quite weird. And then I even also interviewed the mother, and I left with a definitive belief that truly they were saying the truth. There was no way. I tried to have him contradict himself. I tried to even see how to cajole him to, maybe whether he will admit to the robbery allegation, the armed robbery allegation, but he stood by his innocence and reaffirmed that he had not done any such thing. So I believe that he's innocent because if you see even the proposed charge, that the police has put before the magistrate courts, they claim the offense was Dr. Bati. They claim the offense was committed by 10 p.m. Now, on the same day you claim to have arrested the suspect in an armed robbery case. So the offense was committed by 10 p.m. How was Quadri identified as one of the armed robbers? Okay. How was he identified? How did you know that he took part in the robbery? And who are the other 4 persons? How do you conspire to commit an offense with people that are not known to you? Because what makes conspiracy to have substance in law is what we call the meeting of the mind. You conspire when people have the same thoughts.
Consensus ad idem.
Absolutely. So how do you reach that point with people that are not known to you? If somebody says Inibefion has conspired with Dr. Bati to cause problem in Nigeria, imagine if I don't know who Dr. Bati is. How would I now conspire with Dr. Bati to cause problem in the country? That is the case of Quadri in summary. So he was remanded at the custodial, the Kirikiri Medium Custodial Center. Quite sadly, this matter had not gained public attention before we got into it. So when somebody now got this activist that runs an NGO, went for a different case, and someone now disclosed to him that Quadri was there, she had to raise alarm. And since then, we've been taking measures to do what is appropriate to see what we can do for him. So since I can also confirm that since January, he has been at Kirikiri. Maybe the last point I will make as I introduce in my introductory comment is that truly Quadri is a minor. And don't take my word for it. You don't need to see his birth certificate. Go and look at the photograph of him in 2023, barely 2 years ago. And then say reasonably that person in that photograph can be 18 today. It's impossible. It was not 18. So it's not 18. Why is he now being treated as if he's an adult? And if he has committed an offense, what is the process to go about that? So these are some of the issues that we intend to articulate in the coming days.
Okay, in your post on social media, you titled your post, Nigeria has happened to Alabi Quadri. Now, what do you mean when you say Nigeria has happened to somebody? So is that a bad thing? Is it bad for Nigeria to happen to a citizen?
Well, I don't like Delefara to me has that cause to repeatedly caution some of us to stop referring to Nigerians as citizens. But as a lawyer in practice, I've always still choose to use that expression. We are citizens in the eyes of the law. Whether that is so in practice is a different thing, because that is the essence. That is the response to the question you're asking me, Dr. Basi. Are we really citizens in our country? But if you say Nigeria has happened to somebody, it is supposed to be a good thing. It is supposed to be, an indication of achievement, attainment, or some success, or a positive development in the life of a person. But tragically in our country, when we say Nigeria has happened to somebody, what we are saying is that the things that has defined Nigeria, corruption, lawlessness, impunity, injustice, that are quite pervasive, has happened to the person. Nigeria also happened to me in 2022, as you are aware. And I keep telling lawyers that sometimes we are very theoretical about the criminal justice system. Most lawyers in Nigeria have no idea what they are talking about, except you have the opportunity of actually experiencing what it means to be detained in the correctional system. You don't know how bad the system is. I went to prison for 1 month without even knowing what I had done. Nobody had told me what I had done, you know. So I know that there are a lot of innocent people, and I saw a lot of innocent people in prison. So Quadri's case only strengthens and fortifies what I've always known. So Nigeria truly has happened to him, because if Nigeria were to be a country that has regard for the rights of its citizens, why would the police be conniving with area boys to frame a young boy for murder, for armed robbery? Sorry, it sounds very esoteric that this kind of evil can be conceived by an agency of government. What investigation did the police do? Was there an identification parade? Did the victims really say, the supposed victim of the alleged offense, robbery, say that truly this boy was among those who robbed them? So at what point did they reach a determination that he had committed robbery? So truly Nigeria had happened to him, and he was abandoned there, forgotten, completely forgotten. If we had not gone there to see him, nobody would have known that he's there. Nothing could have been done about it. They would have been there waiting for months for DPP advice. That is what I mean when I say that Nigeria has happened to him.
Okay, Inibe, what we're talking about essentially is the justice administration system in Nigeria. It's a chain from arrest to detention to trial to, remand and all of that. Now, how come area boys, street tax collectors, how come they are now part officially, as you are alleging, of the justice administration system in Nigeria? No, where is the fault line?
What an interesting question, Dr. Bati. I think it is a question for Governor Sanwo-Olu and the Attorney General of Lagos State to answer, because area boys have become the default organ of government in Lagos State. Quite sadly, they seem to have their own systems. If you are driving through certain places in Lagos, you have to settle them before they allow you to pass. They are basically, you go to the market, you cannot park in some places. These people have assumed.
Hello?
Always during the NSAS protests, when these people were used to basically, attack protesters. So they have been politically empowered. That is the summary of it. Area boys in Lagos are not just area boys. They are part of the institutions of government. And it is really shameful. So area boys are the ones now grabbing somebody and handing over the person to the police. Not because they witnessed an offense. And when they took him, they claimed he was involved. And Dr. Bati, let me also tell you, this is the second time these same area boys have taken this alabi or Quadri to the police. Simply because he refused to give them money. And they have been holding this grudge since 2023. In fact, let me tell you, Ebale is involved in this. I just don't want to go into details about some of the issues. But in the coming days, Nigerians will hear more about this matter. There's the Ebale that has a hand in what has happened. And it's really sad. All because of what? They had to even force them to relocate from the first place they were staying, when they could no longer endure the harassment. They claim he was carrying his shoulder, that all the money, the millions he collected, did he give anything to them? It's really sad. But these are things that we see all the time. We see area boys disrupt peaceful protests. We see area boys used to rig elections. We see area boys used to collect illegal tax from Lagosians. And they do this with complete sense of impunity. They do this even in front of police stations, because they know that they have political backing. They have political backing. Remember the video during the last election or so, when they went to Bodilion, these area boys, and they were making noise in front of Tinubu's house. And then Tinubu at the time was not president. And Tinubu came out and was saying, I will not defend you again. I will not fight for you people again. So you see the extent to which this thing has assumed influence. The MC Olomo of this world, people that are non-state actors, have assumed so much influence and power. And that is sad, because they just simply believe nothing will happen.
Okay, you mentioned MC Oluomo. MC Oluomo is a big man. Oh. He's president
He's a big
of
man.
the
Oh,
of the National Union of Road Transport Workers. So yeah, please, I don't want you to have
illegal. The court has said he's not the president,
no.
but they are using police
I
to
don't
shield
want
him.
you. I don't want you to go and pick issues with a big man. That's the president of national. Please, let's just stay with our subject.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now,
That's fine.
but I would like to ask you: these street boys that you have talked about who collect tax, who are saying Alabi Quadri should be in trouble because he has not paid them tax. Which community are we talking about? Because they usually have territory. I mean, they have their own alternative government in different parts. Which community is this? Because Alabi Quadri was taken to Amukoko police station, Pako police station. So is that the territory we're talking about?
That's where it is.
Hello?
The police station is actually just close to his house. Yeah, that is where this happened. That is a community.
Amukoko community in Lagos. This is where the area boys are running their own government. It's
very close. Yes. So control. It's really sad. It's really sad what they have done to this boy. We met him yesterday. He was not even in good health, and you look at him, the boy is just a victim of the Nigerian state. It's really sad what they did to him. But why am I not surprised? Because I've seen cases like this over and over again, where some people are just framed and thrown into detention for things they don't have any idea about. It is not the first time, even in Lagos here. Some of the times that we have gone out to protest, it is area boys that come out to grab peaceful protesters and hand them over to the police. We saw it during the End Bad Governance protest. I personally witnessed this at Ganefa Park when area boys were chasing some of our comrades and grabbed them and hand them over to the police. So it's not a new thing. It's something that we are used to. And it's sad. It's not supposed to be so. It's not supposed to be so.
Okay, I get your point. You say it's the Amukuku community in Lagos. Now, the family of Alabi Quadri, since they also live within the community, are they able to identify these area boys? Have you identified them?
We know
and
them.
Are you going to take action against them? Are you going to take
we know them, but I cannot disclose their identity for now. And I cannot also be specific on what we are doing in that regard. But rest assured that we have interest in getting to the root of the matter. That is all I can say on that. You recall Dr. Bate also told you that the ballet is even involved in this. You'll be surprised that a ballet has played some role in this.
The traditional.
And it was of course, it was the ballet who asked that they should buy a cow and cook rice and share for the boys. So the boys are working, the area boys are working with the certain ballet. I just don't want to go into details yet.
Okay, Inebe Efyong, are you saying that the ballet of Amukuku is an area boy?
No, I'm not saying the ballet of Amukuku. I don't want to be specific on which ballet, but we'll disclose the details at the right time. I'm just trying to tell you that I'm just trying to explain give you an idea how serious this is. Like I said, they have to relocate from the house they were staying when they got that money. But they still stayed within the vicinity, not too far away. They had to leave the first place because of the repeated attacks. Recall I also hinted that this is not the first time these area boys have used police. In fact, the first time they took him along with some other boys in the community. The ballet's pilot. Then the ballet saw him and identified him. He made a certain comment that I don't want to say on this program, and then said they should take him to the police.
Okay, let's stretch the logic a little bit. Peter Obi, as presidential candidate of the Labour Party, gives money to a boy who appreciated him and who hailed him, and the thing went viral. And then the ballet, the traditional leader of a community, says that he must be given a cow out of it. area boys in that community also say they should be given money out of it. Now, what does this say also about politics, about political culture in Nigeria, where everybody is looking at stomach infrastructure?
Well, it's sad. It shows how decadent politics is in our country. People just have unmerited expectation that this sense of entitlement. People just simply feel that they're entitled to get money from politics and from politicians. And even you, when you support a politician and they see that you have gotten some money, they also have expectation. This is and this was supposed to transform his life forever. Unfortunately, that is not the case. From being a momentary celebrity, an internet sensation, he's now being held as a prisoner. It's really it's just a travesty. Dr. Bati, you need to see this boy. You need to see the person we are talking about. I mean, I'm not God, I was not there, but you need to see him. So when you meet him one-on-one, you would then ask yourself, is this the boy they say committed armed robbery? And let's even look at the other part of it. The things the police claim were taken from a lady and a man. As we don't know where that happened, but they are talking about 4 mobile phones and the sum of 130,000. These mobile phones are not the type of mobile phones that you'll be carrying, Dr. Bati, or the type that I carry. The total value of the 4 mobile phones and the money is it's less than 600,000.
No, I carry one. I carry a phone that they call Palasang, very cheap.
So I'm just explaining to you that even in terms of value, is that the kind of case? They didn't say anybody was injured in the purported armed robbery. They did not say they carried gun. They claimed that machete was used to rob somebody. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying using machete to collect money or property from somebody is acceptable. I'm just explaining to you that this is a situation where the Nigeria police force has done what they have always done. But now we are dealing with a child. A child whose future, look at what the Nigerian state has done to this boy. What do you think can possibly happen to him when he comes out of that place? People go to these prisons, they come out, they become criminal, they become emboldened out of resentment for the society.
Okay, Inebe, 2 more questions, and then we'll throw the lines open. We'll go on break, and then, because I know you have other engagements today. Now, you have met with Alabi Quadri this morning, given to him by Peter Obi, from which everybody is saying they want a cow, they want an arm and a leg, they want him in prison. How much is even the money? Did you ask him? How much was he given?
Not a lot of money.
Enough to buy a cow?
So surprisingly, contrary to what some people think, it's not such a lot of money. The total money that got into the account was a little less than 4 million.
4 million is a lot of money.
Well, it's not small, but it's also not so big, because maybe they thought he had collected up to 50 million. They thought he had, and the money now is not even there anymore. That one is a different story entirely. A lot of things that happen. So, but this is a street boy that they see every day. A boy that possibly repeats the same clothes every day. A boy that can barely feed, and suddenly they saw his picture all over social media. They saw picture of him with Peter Obi. They heard people were donating money. So you will expect that in that vicinity, in that locality, it will be a subject of interest. But rather than acknowledge what has happened to him as a good thing to the community, they saw it that he is supposed to have called them after he collected this money. Maybe a meeting should have been summoned in the community, and then he will be sharing part of it to everybody to settle the streets, to settle them in quote. It's really sad.
The people of Famukoko in Lagos State, they must be really very hungry people because
You
they
can
wanted.
I know you know your onions on this job. So even you can even send somebody to go and investigate this thing. Go to that Amokuku community. They call the boy Obi, Obi, Obi. That's what they call him. This is something that is known to the community because this boy is a street boy. He didn't have the benefit of going to school, So it is a boy that they see every day struggling to make ends meet. The parents are, the mother is struggling from a very under privileged background, and then suddenly they heard he had millions were given to him, and they were asking him to come and settle them. That he has not acknowledged them.
Even the Baale of Amokuku wants to share out
I didn't say Amokoko, but I just said that the Bale had a hand in it. We'll mention the Bale that is involved in the coming days.
Okay, will you now advise politicians to stop giving money to people, either people who appreciate them or their supporters, because this must be a teachable moment for us in Nigerian politics. You give a young man gift, and then all of these problems, sending him to detention, to prison, giving him his family heartache, just because politician gives money to a fan, a supporter.
I will not say so, because in the context in this happened, it was not money given to buy votes or the typical sharing of money that we see. This was a providence. This was the one in a lifetime incident. This was something that happened and held the political season by storm. So it is expected that, and we see young Nigerians, gain fortune through social media. This kind of thing has been happening. Remember the bread seller, remember Momzi, and we've had several people that social media had brought to fame in our country, and their lives were transformed. Quadri is supposed to be one of them, but unfortunately, his own encounter with Providence has become the source of pain for him and his family. I don't believe this boy committed armed robbery. And I don't even believe that the robbery they're talking about took place. And if it took place, Quadri was not involved. These people that they claim, they have 5 in all, including Quadri. The 4 others are not known to him. So when did he plan with them to commit armed robbery? And Dr. Abati, is it not curious to you that till this moment, the police has not made a statement on the matter? Have you noticed? Not the police in Lagos State, and not even the police in Abuja. They've kept mute, despite how the attention that this case has attracted. They haven't even made an effort to justify their action. Does that not say something to you that something is wrong? Why are they quiet? Because I can tell you that I know at the fact that the police is aware of this case. Why haven't they issued a statement to say, "Oh, we acted rightly. Truly, this boy was committed armed robbery. This was what happened"? Why have the police not made a statement on the case? It tells you that something is wrong, because usually when police is involved in matters like this and the whole country is talking about it, they will typically issue a statement in defense of their action. How come that in Quadri's case, 3 days later, the police have suddenly become deaf and dumb? It should tell you something that something is wrong. Why are they not interested in clearing their name? The DPO of the police station, Alpaco police station that took this boy, nobody has said anything to justify his detention. All they're telling us is go to DPP, that is now with the Ministry of Justice.
Okay. Anyway, before we take a break, before we now ask other people who have been listening to us at home, particularly in the Amukuku area of Lagos, the people who want to eat cow meat, beef, they should come and speak up on this program and defend themselves and the area boys of Amukuku who have been implicated in this matter. Otherwise, when next I see a man from Amukuku, I will have an idea. However, How do we reform the juvenile justice system in Nigeria? Because Alabi Quadri is not the only victim. There are probably
Yes.
thousands of his type across Nigeria. How do we reform the juvenile justice system and protect, young persons like Alabi Quadri from being treated badly by Nigeria, from Nigeria happening to them, as you argued?
Yes. We're not going to reform the juvenile justice system without reforming the justice system in general. The Nigerian justice system and the criminal justice system in particular is going through a very turbulent phase, to put it mildly, to be diplomatic. The situation is really bad, from the investigative stage to prosecution to the custodial. Everything as nothing is really working efficiently. The police are supposed to be the primary law enforcement, because no matter all these things we are talking about, the police is the primary culprit. The police is the primary culprit of why our criminal justice system has been bastardized. Yes, the courts have their own faults, but these cases don't go to courts if police do not arrest people. And many of go to our that Krikri yesterday, the medium correctional center. They have close to 3,000 inmates in that place. Close to 3,000. That facility cannot accommodate half of that number. It cannot. So you see, even the way they sleep like sardines. The way sardines are squeezed into tin. They think they are fed. Dogs will not eat it. So if you're going to reform the juvenile justice system, you have to revisit the entire justice system in Nigeria. We don't have, the juvenile court system in Nigeria is not very efficient. The remand homes for children, many of them are in terrible condition. There is nothing to write them about. And the children are still being taken to adult courts. Remember the case of the minors in Abuja that, shocked the entire the international community, where children were detained for 3 months without trial, without access to lawyers or parents, and they were malnourished. Nigeria is the weapon fashioned against Nigerians. The Nigerian government, let me be specific. Our institutions are very weak, and unfortunately, even us in the temple of justice, the judiciary, where we have not done enough. Because if certain cases are coming before you as the magistrate, you should be able to look at it as you don't need to be a lawyer, as a human being, and something should tell you that there is need to interrogate this matter. Let's ask some questions. But once police, in most cases, the police will just bring this case and they will remand the person. Look at the case of the TikToker, Seeking, that I took up. The police, because he said, if police is beating you, you should reciprocate the gesture. If they are assaulting you, you should resist it. They went and charged him for treason. They claimed they are charging him for treason. I have to go to court to truncate his remand. If I was not able to do that, as I speak to you, that gentleman would have been in detention for months now. Till date, Dr. Bati, no legal advice, no charge. Then he would have spent months for nothing. This is what even minors and adults are going through in our criminal justice system on a daily basis. Look at what is happening in Lagos. They go through the streets, go through markets, arrest people for loitering, take them to just dump them and they forget about them. And you expect these people not to rebel against the society. You expect them to become responsible. How possible is that? So we need to really begin to look at the things that we allow and permit in this country.
Okay, Inebe Fiang, we would like to go on a short break, and then so that we hear particularly from the people of Amokuku in Lagos. But before then, I already have a reaction from Akin Ogunlade. It's already there on on Zoom. He says the phenomenon of Nigerian children being detained in adult prisons or juvenile facilities under harsh conditions reflects a deep-rooted systemic failure. So he agrees with you on that point. These children, often poor or vulnerable backgrounds, find themselves criminalized for petty offenses such as hawking, loitering, or being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Many of them are not even convicted. They are simply awaiting trial, sometimes for years. That's Akin Ogunlade contributing to the conversation. I think you and Akin, you are more or less on the same page. So on that note, we take a short break, and then we would like to hear from the people of Lagos, of Amokoko, and also all the people who have been listening to us. And we have our guest here, Inebe Efiong, a public-minded, public interest lawyer. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We'll take this break, and we'll be right back.
Most of the contracts in NDDC are given out to members of National Assembly, but you don't know about it. It's okay.
When you need unbiased information, balanced analysis, reviews, and insight on the policies and programs that concern you, listen to City Talks with REUBEN ABATI. Be a part of it. Call 0700 1051 1051 to lend your voice on topics and help shape our country for the better.
My name is REUBEN ABATI. I will be your host on City Talks from noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday. Join me as we dissect major issues of public interest. You will be glad you did.
City Talks with REUBEN ABATI on your number one lifestyle station, City 1051. From noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday.
From that commercial break, you are still tuned into City Talks with me, REUBEN ABATI. And we've been discussing this disturbing case of Alabi Quadri, the teenager held without trial at the Kirikiri Correctional Center, as well as the broader issue of Nigerian children unlawfully detained, the abuse of power, and the dangerous rise of street justice with human rights lawyer Inebe Efiong. Remember, you can join the conversation by calling 0700 1051 1051. You can also send us messages on WhatsApp at 0909 916 4403. And you can also engage with our social media accounts at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. And all these, social media contacts, they are the same every week. Joining the program, contributing to conversations is the same, every week. So for the benefit of people who say, oh, what is the link? The link is the same every week, and we appreciate you joining us every week. Inebe Efiong, thank you very much for joining us, for staying with us, and for keeping faith with us. We're waiting for calls, we're waiting for reactions, but let me start with the first question. What do you think society stands to lose by neglecting children, by neglecting the rights of children who get detained?
Not just let me even narrow it, because it's not children, it's children of the poor, Dr. Bati. You don't see, there's no rich man child in the prisons, And if you go to even our prisons, how many rich people are in prisons in Nigeria?
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
Well, what is the percentage?
Children are
children of the poor.
Are you sure?
It's children of the poor. I'm telling you, it's children of the poor. I've seen these things firsthand. It's children of the poor. I've been to children remand homes for children. Go and look at the condition that they live. What society stands to lose a lot, because when these kids go through this traumatic experience, they feel a sense of neglect. They feel abandoned. What that does is that energizes them negatively and implants in them a sense of repulsion against the society. They feel the society has abandoned them, and what will they do? They begin to develop, resentments. When they come out, they become antisocial. They become disruptive. The correctional service in Nigeria does not correct anybody. There is nothing reformative about this system. I've said it repeatedly. If anybody goes to the Nigerian prisons, whether as a child or an adult, what they call custodial centers now, and comes out and becomes a reformed person, that is just an exception to the rule. It is just an act. It is a miraculous act, because there is nothing in that place that reforms anybody, not the children, not the adults. In most cases, people go there, they become worse, because the system is designed to punish you. Our criminal justice system is essentially retributive. It's not reformative. There is no system of reform. Because the reason why you have the juvenile justice system is because globally there is an acknowledgement that these are children. These are people that should be given a second chance, an opportunity to redeem themselves. But when you now subject kids to this kind of horrendous treatment, look at even the hawkers in Lagos. Many of them are minors. And these tax force people will just grab them. They throw them into detention. Why are they hawking? Is it not because they don't have the opportunity of going to school? What is the state of public education in our country? Public schools in Nigeria today. So the country has abandoned the children, those they call the leaders of tomorrow. Of course, the tomorrow is not really for Nigerians, because they keep saying leaders of tomorrow, when the tomorrow never comes. So what I'm saying is that as the country, we have failed young people, we have failed the children of this nation. And it is sad. And Quadri's case speaks eloquently to this. That this is even, I'm not saying a juvenile cannot commit an offense. Of course, a juvenile can commit an offense. But what is the process for determining that? Do you subject a juvenile to the same process that an adult is supposed to be subjected to? People that their minds have not fully developed. Like I said, you need to meet this Quadri. It is easy for people to be theoretical about this matter. When you sit with this boy, you will understand, you will appreciate what I'm saying better. You need to meet him and see how vulnerable he is. And ask yourself, is this the person that committed armed robbery? From his demeanor, to his attitude, to the way he talks. So it's really sad. He has not had the benefit of education. And now you are putting him through this. Yesterday, when we were leaving, let me tell you what happened yesterday. When we were leaving Kirikiri yesterday, almost everybody was crying. Someone like me, I just had to act strong. From the mother to some of the members of the obedience who came, including even some of the correctional officers, because at some point the mother started crying. Quadri then started crying. The first day I met him, he was very, looking very frail and so on. But he was still a bit able to compose his emotion. But he lost it yesterday. The boy went and went. They had to beg him. Almost everybody was crying. And I was asking myself, why should this happen to a child?
Inebe, I'm still waiting for the people of Amokoko to speak up. I don't assume that the people in Amokoko are deaf and dumb. They must have been listening to this program. But there is Abiola from Ekotun who has sent me a message on this phone. He says, my question in this whole matter is, how effective is the human rights sections of our police stations? He said that the police, they have a human rights section. What is that station doing? Because all of this could have been resolved at the police station. He is saying. While we are waiting for people,
fantastic question.
Anybody from Amokoko to defend their community.
Fantastic question. But the truth is that the human rights unit of the police is part of the police. And the people that head that unit are also police officers. They are not external individuals. So I have been to some of the human rights units in different police stations. And it's nothing to write them about. They don't even have the capacity to do anything. They don't. They don't have the capacity to address anything. Those units, in most cases, just exist for the sake of existence. They cannot detect to the DPO. They cannot give instructions or intervene in cases. It's not effective. It is not. It is not. It is just like asking, why is it that in every police station we have an inscription that bail is free, but everybody knows bail is not free? The impunity has become very pervasive. And that change has to start from the top. The reason why a constable on the road will be emboldened to extort a motorist, point a gun at somebody and say, I'll shoot you and nothing will happen, because he knows that at the highest level from the IG, there is just that sense of lawlessness. What do you expect of a police whose IG has reached age of retirement and they have to manipulate the legislative process to extend his tenure? What do you expect of the morale of the other officers in the system? How do you think they interpret it? They will not come out on social media to say how they feel. But we know the effects that singular action has had on the police. That you have somebody that has reached retirement age, and because of the Milocom philosophy, we have an Milocom IGP, so he must stay there forever. How about the other DIGs? How about those that were his mates in the police college?
Okay. Anyway, I understand we have a caller on the line. Let us take that caller. Maybe somebody from Amokuku, maybe even the Bale of Amokuku himself. Hello.
Doctor, good afternoon.
Hello.
Dr. REUBEN. Doctor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Your name, your location, and
My
please keep it
name
brief.
is Prince YS, calling you from Oshodi.
Oh, this is a person from Oshodi. Please go ahead.
Yes. But I'm from Amuwodo, very close to Relay, as you say.
Okay.
You are talking of Amukokabi?
No. Anyway, everyone can hear you. It's Lagos. We're still talking about Lagos.
All that
and human
environment, I
rights.
understand that environment. The Alabi you are talking about, the boy, your guest calling area boy. And what the money given to him, for what purpose? What they give the money for? Is it to assist him? Because if to assist him, it's also to go in there. Maybe they will transfer the money to him without anybody know about it. So maybe the money was given to him to do certain job. I want your guest to tell Nigeria what the money given to that guy, what the money mean for. Is it to establish a business? Is it to campaign for him? Is it to solicit for him? Let your man come out right. If one was called for army robber, the person to take the guy to court. No more, no less. Good afternoon, my darling doctor.
Anyway, this is an interesting dimension to the subject. You had the gentleman.
I don't know how to respond to the caller. He's asking what the money was meant for.
It was very specific. Yes, that maybe the money was not meant for Alabi Quadri alone. Maybe it was meant for distribution to the community.
Was it the community that stood in front of the convoy of Peter Obi? The money was given to this boy just basically to assist him. And how the family spend that money is left for the family. Okay, that is not my concern as a lawyer. I wasn't involved with that. Okay, the money wasn't given to buy votes, to the best of my knowledge. The boy did something very courageous, something like I said that captured the mind of a lot of people in the country at the time. And some people felt, well, let's help him, because like I said, we've seen cases like this where people will do something dramatic like this and then they find favor. That was essentially what happened. So I don't think we should scandalize that incident. This wasn't something that was planned. Like I said, like the caller, it is easy for people to just call and talk the way the last caller has talked. Meet this Quadri. When you see him yourself, you will understand this matter better.
Okay, I understand we have another caller. Let's take that call and then we'll move on very quickly. Hello.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon,
Yes.
Barrister Ifyong. Jonathan is my name. Now, I think, Mr. Doctor and Barrister Ifyong, thank you for that response. I think what Prince Wise is saying is unnecessary. What is necessary here? Somebody has been detained above 24 hours. Is that what the law says? And Barrister Ifyong, I think we need to start taking DPOs, police stations, and head should start going for things like this. This is human rights violation. And I think we should start, and if it is not enacted in our constitution, we need to start speaking at that. It should be put, even DPO police station officers should face it. You can't arrest somebody and keep somebody above 24 hours. And I also want to talk to Nigerians too. Nigerians, to ordinary Nigerians, they know how to go to court with their landlord, with their tenant taking landlord. When it comes to the authorities, they always cave in. They should know that their right is their right. And they have a right. They should know that if somebody detains you above 24 hours, you should fight for your right. And Barrister Ifyong, I think by now there should be a suit. It should be on ground. I didn't hear you say it. I want to ask. There must be a suit by now. Because that guy is being held for 6 days. If he committed any crime, they should take him to court. So if the Prince Wise, please note this. What you are talking is no point at all here. Enjoy your afternoon, Dr. Abati. Thank you very much.
Okay, anybody from
That's quite
you
an
have it.
objective position. Quite objective. Like I said earlier that I'm being careful not to put out a strategy in the public space. This boy had been detained for 6 to 7 days. That is before they even took him to court. And we know that constitutionally, once you have detained somebody beyond 24 hours without a court order, any subsequent order of remand given cannot cure that infringement. And it doesn't matter what the allegation is. You must have a court order to detain somebody beyond the constitutionally permissible period. So, having detained him for that period, in violation of his rights, they now decided to further compound the illegality by taking him before a magistrate to get a remand order. And now they say they are waiting for DPP's advice. So, if the DPP does not issue the advice in 10 years, what happens? This is part of the conversation that the legal profession needs to have. This remand proceedings was introduced to abate and address the madness that had become of what used to be holding charge practice, where police will take people before magistrate court for offenses that magistrate does not have jurisdiction, and they will remand you in prison for 5 years waiting for DPP's advice. The ACJL in Lagos in 2011 was introduced to address that, but unfortunately we are back to square one. Everything in our country seems to be working in reverse, and it's really sad. It's really sad. Why should somebody be in prison since January till this is April or ABATI, waiting for the DPP to decide whether to prosecute the person or not? You are saying you have committed armed robbery, meaning you've already done investigation, you have the evidence. Why should it take 3-4 months for a division to be made, for you to know whether you are going to stand trial or not? No serious country will have that kind of institutional failure. That is what we should be talking about. That is what we should be talking about. Why should it take more than 3-4 months for the DPP to... and that is even a child's play. There are people that are in detention. Yesterday, one of the correctional officers was telling me about an inmate who has not had a court appearance since 2018. At Kirikiri Medium Correctional Center. Since 2018, he has not appeared before any court. They just dump him there waiting for DPP's advice.
Well, on that note, Inebe Ifyong, I would like to thank you very much for your courage, for your commitment, for your unrelenting advocacy in the fight for justice, not just for Alabi Quadri, but also for others who have been left behind by the Nigerian justice system. And that brings us to the end of this program today. We have had a useful conversation that reminds us of the urgent need to protect the rights of every Nigerian child, especially those who are caught